talk about a system. I'm actually going to give you a system for you to do exactly that. And it's very easy to use, very simple. It's something I created 4 or 5 years ago because as I was looking at my life, I was realizing I was making some mistakes. The money was flowing in the doors really fast. You know, when you write a #1 New York Times bestseller, the royalty checks are really awesome. You know, sometimes I get $500,000 royalty check. And what do you do with it? Well, you think it's all yours, right? And rather than taking 10% off the top for tithing and 10% off and put it in a savings account, and rather than balancing things, you just get to feel like you're just so rich it doesn't matter. So you just spend the money, and I just go out and bring the money in, shovel it in the back door. The people in the back say, "You guys take care of it back there. I'm out here. I'm pretty good at making this stuff. I'll just shovel it back there to you guys. All right? Yeah, just keep piling up. Big stacks back there. I'm just going to shovel some more back there for you." And I'm out here shoveling the back in and creating the wealth. But I had no idea what was happening in the back room and how it was being managed and controlled because I made an assumption, and that is I didn't need to learn that stuff. I hire people for that. Let them take care of this stuff. Because you can hire somebody for a fairly good sum, and they'll take care of it, manage it, take care of it for you. Point is, and there's an old saying that goes with farming, and it surely goes with your own money too, and that's the farmer's best fertilizer is his own shadow. Your money has to be the same way. You have to know where it comes from, where it passes through, and where it goes, and that goes everybody in the room, man, woman, and child. You should know where the money comes from and where it goes. You should never delegate that responsibility to anyone without you at least knowing what's happening to it. Because every one of us will probably, especially when it gets to our couples here, you don't know how long your spouse is going to be around. They may, you hit my Mack truck tomorrow. Some families, the wife takes the check from the husband and does all the controlling of the money. Some families, both the husband and the wife work, and they kind of manage their own kind of funds. Some of them, the husband does everything. You all have different ways in which you control your money in your households. What I'm asking you to do is that everyone in this room should be investing for their own self. They're taking their own dollar bills a day, every dollar a day, and investing it for the long-term future. Or you are basically saying, I am abdicating my financial responsibility to somebody else. And that is not smart. You need to know what's going on. Now, we live in a dangerous world when it comes to couples. 50% of all the couples today are going to end up in some kind of marital problems. And what's the #1 cause of divorce? Money. #1 cause of divorce. Or the lack of money, or the arguments about money. And so every one of you should have a way of controlling the money for yourself. This shouldn't, I'm not asking it to be something that splits you up. I'd actually like it to bring you together so both of you really know what's happening. And there's certain rules that you have to follow through. I'm going to kind of create for you the way the money should probably flow through your household. And if it does flow in this direction, you may have to divert the way you're spending to a brand new way of thinking about money, all right? And here it is. Let's just kind of do it together. Using the Rockefeller method or formula, we realize that every penny counts. And so we're going to figure out a way to control the pennies that flow through our life. And I'm going to draw for you something that's really, really very beautifully done here. I'm going to draw my bathtub for you. Okay, there's our bathtub. Now we see a faucet here, and then from that faucet flows money into our bathtub. And out of that bathtub, where does the money flow?
Down the drain.
It goes down most of the drain, doesn't it? Most of us don't have any money left over at the end of the month. What I'm going to do is create for you now the prosperous way for money to flow through your life. So I'm going to do a brand new bathtub here. I'm going to create a couple of faucets. And there are two kinds of faucets that you need to have flowing into your life. One faucet we're going to call linear income. Linear income is money that flows to you because you go out and get it. You spend an hour at work, you get an hour's worth of pay. That's linear income. One in, one out, or an hour in, $20 out, or whatever. It's linear. This other kind of income over here is what we call residual income. Now, residual income is money that flows in because you've set things up so that you don't have to be there. That's what we call residual income. Now, how many of you have seen me do the money tree presentation before? Some of you have seen me do it. In a presentation I teach around the country, I talk about the radical difference between money tree income, income that flows to you, and what I call linear income, income that you've got to go out and get. Where do most people's incomes flow from today? Linear. Yeah, it comes from linear income. Where is the wealthiest faucet? Yeah, this is the kind of faucet that we're trying to create. Now, there are lots of ways to create residual income. It's money that flows to you without you having to flow for it. There are a lot of ways to get this kind of income. They look about the same at the very beginning. You know, I get $100 worth of residual income flowing in here, and I get $100 worth of residual over there, or linear and residual. And they look about the same as they flow in on a monthly basis. $100 here, $100 there. But is there a radical difference between these two? Now, this is a $100 one-time thing. If you're there and you make it, great. This is $100 a month for the rest of your life, whether you're there or not. So which is obviously more powerful? I mean, this has got to look at the time value of money for the next 50 years, or that's just a one-time shot. Although they look the same. You know, when you look on a paper, on a balance sheet, boom, you say $100, $100. This is radically more powerful. Your goal is to get as much income here as you possibly can, and the question you got to ask yourself every day is, how much time do I spend every day creating residual income? Now, if I work at a job, what are the ways in which I could create residual income if I work at a regular salaried position? Yeah, I could take some of that money out, a little sliver out, and I could put it into an investment of some sort, such as a mutual fund or a stock or some business that I own, whatever, and I could create some residual income. What's another thing I could do at my job to create residual income? Yeah, I invest in my company's retirement plan. Many of you work at companies where they'll allow you to take a certain percentage of your income, 5, 6, 7%, and the company will say, we'll match that. Now, this is getting less and less today, but it's an incredible benefit if they do it. Because if you put in 5% of your money and the company matches that, how much is that return on your money instantly? 100%. 100%. Now, what was the rate of return I said was a really pretty good rate of return? If I could get 10 to 15 to maybe 20%, that's an incredible rate of return. If your company will make your money grow at 100%, so you should be maxing out every check you can get from your company. So I can work at my company and create a retirement plan by taking a little sliver of that money and getting over here to residual. The real key to it, though, is to make sure that you turn these faucets off and you turn these faucets on. And most of us are never taught that as kids. We're just not taught. What's another way to create residual income? Yeah, I write a book. Okay. Yeah, and the book I wrote in 1980 called Nothing Down. Now it's 1995, 1996, 97. We're going to write the edition for Nothing Down for the year 2000. It'll be called Nothing Down 2000. I mean, every 5 years I get to revise this book. Basically, I just double the numbers. And I just put it back on the shelf again, and people walk through, and Nothing Down's out there, and all my competitors are on the TV. They're talking about Nothing Down real estate. When they go to the bookstore, whose book do they buy? They buy my book. So that's just wonderful. So, yeah, I write a book. I get royalties. That's a fun word, isn't it? Royalty. I love that word. What other ways to create residual income are there? Insurance. Okay. Oh, well, network marketing. Okay, network marketing, creating a residual income. What's any other ways? Insurance. Yeah, insurance. Anything else? Yeah, I could put money in investments. Isn't a dividend on a stock residual income? I bought a stock, I paid $10 for it. It pays $1 worth of dividends. That means that the stock is just pumping off like an oil well. And that's a residual income. I didn't have to work for it. I just had to buy the stock and hope that the company just gave me these benefits. That's what residual income is. We'll be talking about those investments as we move along throughout today. What I want you to just get the concept is there are two kind of sources that are flowing into your bucket or your bathtub, and you want to get as much as you can into this thing right here. Every day you go to work, you got to ask the question, how much time am I spending here versus there? And am I diverting, or am I spending all my money that flows in here? Am I saving anything? Am I diverting anything to long-term residuals? If you're not, then you're basically saying that I am going to eat up my seed corn every day. I'm going to take all that corn that I could have go out and invest and put it in the fields, and that one kernel of corn can turn into 1,000 kernels. So every day, if I just eat up all my food, I'm just eating up my seed corn, and therefore I'm not going to be wealthy. I'm not going to be able to plant lots of crops out there. Now the money flows in from whatever these two faucets happen to be, and it flows out through various different leaks. So according to Rockefeller, what's the first leak?
Charity.
Yeah, I'm going to give a number to each of these leaks, and there are basically 10 of them. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a little side one over here, which we call 10. I'm going to change all of your financial thinking into 10 leaks. Now, how many of you are using Quicken right now to manage your money? Serious hands on, or some other computer program? You're going to change your Quicken categories to these 10 leaks. I've done it on mine. It's very easy and simple to do. A lot of times when you're using Quicken, it gets so complicated because you've got so many ways and categories for your money that you don't analyze it very well. And I want you to be simple. I want you to be able to do it in your head. You don't have to do it on a computer. I want there to be 10 ways for money to flow out of your life. And then I can divide those 10 ways into little subcategories if I want to. But most of us don't need to manage our money more than 10 through 10 leaks. So the first leak would be the leak of charity, all right? So we're going to put charity right down here. Now, well, that's strange. We would put money to other people before we would put money to ourselves. Where does the charity leak usually go for most people? It goes at the last. You know, it's the last leak we analyze. Let's see, first we take care of our family, then we take care of our house payment, we got our car payments, all that. Now, if there's any money left over, then we'll help other people with that, right? Yes?
Charity, is that before or after taxes?
That's before taxes. It comes off right off the top, right before taxes. Because if I do it right off the top, then I get to take it off my taxes. And therefore it lowers my tax bill. And therefore, instead of letting the government decide where my money goes, I pull it off the top, and I get to decide which charities I want to bless. And I don't want to let the government decide which money they want to send to help whatever poor people they're trying to help out there. I get to control it. So charity would be my first leak. Now, why do you think Rockefeller did that? First leak. Why do you teach his kids to do that?
When you give, you receive.
When you give, you receive. Now, this is all kind of airy-fairy stuff. Is that a law of nature? Does it really work?
Yeah.
When you give, you receive. What are the other psychological reasons why Rockefeller wanted his kids to do that first, not last?
Discipline.
Yeah? Discipline, number one, yeah?
To instill compassion.
To instill compassion, yes?
There's plenty.
That there was plenty, and I think that's probably the most important part there. You see, when you leave it to the last, there's never any left. There's just none left. There's a $50 here or $20 there, but if you do it first, basically what you're saying is, universe, I think the source of all wealth comes from you anyway, so I'm going to just do that first, right from the very beginning. You give it first, not last. Now, all of us in this room believe in some form of God, right? Well, maybe I shouldn't use that word so strong. Maybe a universe is the word we'll use. It's a little less, grumbly here. You should never talk about politics, sex, or religion, right? We're going to talk a little bit about spirituality for just a moment. Why do you think that some of the wealthy people you see out there can be pinched the pennies like nobody's business, and yet they'll write a $50 million check to their alma mater? Or they'll set up a whole structure of a charity foundation. When you go to lunch with them, they're real careful. They're very pinched, but they write these huge checks. It's a paradox, isn't it? Isn't it a paradox? They can be so careful on one side and so incredibly generous on the other. And what I'm here to try to tell you is that they are both part of the same coin. That you have to have both of those pieces to you. And the way to first start out is to send a message to the universe that you are going to create your wealth, and that the reason for your wealth is for you to help other people. And that you're going to prove that from the very first penny. That as the money flows in from the very first penny, you're going to search out people who need it, and you're going to specifically put it into your budget and pay it that way when you have $1,000 a month, and then when you have $100,000 a month. Because I'm going to tell you, it's so difficult when you have $100,000 a month to write the $10,000 check. It's just different. If the habit is not there, it just doesn't come. If the habit is there, then as the checks grow, then you'll just do it. And therefore, I'm going to challenge every one of you to be thinking about that as your first investment. You can try it your way, I don't care. But as you do analysis and you talk to people who have created great wealth, you find that this has been their habit almost their entire life. And I want to know why that is. And it's because it's one of the reasons that they are wealthy. Now, like I said, we all probably believe in some form of universe, higher power. We probably don't believe the same at the retail level, but at the wholesale level, we all have pretty much the same belief that there is a higher power. It's when we get to the retail level, things got all messed up, hamburger is hamburger, but then there's McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and all these other places. So we all believe in different kinds of attitudes, but I think in terms of the broad attitudes, there is a higher power, and the higher power knows where all the gold is that right? Does the higher power, God if you wish, know which stocks to buy tomorrow? Does she or not? Huh?
So it's wrong.
How many of you believe that the higher power probably knows which real estate corners would be the ones you'd probably want to invest in? Yeah, okay. Probably knows a little more than you do. And I find it so strange that people don't involve God in their financial decisions. As if kind of like, I'm just going to do it on my own, thank you. Please, I can do this by myself. Instead of saying, hey, should I short IBM tomorrow or what? What shall I do? Now, I may be just a little crass to put it that way, but I've always found, in the strangest kind of ways, that if I live my life in the spiritual way with money, because it's all spiritual anyway, frankly. We can argue about it all day long, but it's all spiritual. If I live my money life in a spiritual way and really involve the universe and say, okay, I'm going to make some money this month and I want to know where you want me to give it. Who do you want me to give it to? Your soul expands and you become wealthy with a capital W while you're making the small w wealth along the way. And I just recommend that to you, all right, without too much more discussion on it. Then where should the next money flow? Yeah, it's going to go into my savings. Okay? And that means you got to pay yourself first because you want to, second in this sense, because you're going to have a future you're going to move towards. Every one of you is going to be there. And so what kind of future do you want to arrive at? The year 2000, that's going to be an incredible party, isn't it? The end of a decade, the end of a century, the end of a millennium, the beginning of a new decade, century, millennium. It's going to be a party. So where do you want to be when that happens? When the ball drops and old Dick Clark, there, young as ever, rings in the new decade, century, millennium. There are not very many people in this room who were here last time that happened. What are you going to do? How's it going to be? Where are you going to live? What's it going to be like? How financially solid are you going to be at that point? If you don't do the second one here, you basically say, I'm going to live for the moment and the future, heck with the future. Now, if you'll do these two first, it makes your present even better. Because what's the third leak? Yeah, it's taxes. Taxes. In order of priority, this is the way it flows. It flows to God, then it flows to yourself, then it flows to Uncle Sam. Because then, after you've taken care of those three particular responsibilities, then you can do the next step, which would be, what's the most important thing next in your order of priorities? Got to have my shelter, that's right. Got to have a place to live. That would be leak number 4, shelter. So the money flows out of these faucets, and as it flows in here and starts to fill up your particular bathtub, it's going to flow out these leaks in order of these priorities. Then when it comes to leak number 5, if I got my shelter taken care of, what's the next thing? Yeah, and I'm going to call that household, because that will fit in a kind of a multitude of things. It'll fit food, it'll fit clothing, it'll fit things that happen in the house. So something gets broken here and there, we're going to put that into household. And remember, this is a very broad category, so if you're using Quicken, you could take category number 5 and break it down into lots of little tiny things like food and clothing, etc. And after I've got my house and my food taken care of, then what's the next thing in order of priority? Gotta get to work, don't I? So I gotta have my transportation. So I'm gonna call that auto. And that'll be auto insurance and car payments and gasoline and oil and anything else to fix up that car, because that's in order of the priorities. Then when I get to 7, what's the next order of priorities there? Yeah, I've done all this hard stuff at this point. If I hadn't had some fun by this time, I'm going to go nuts. So we're going to put some fun into leak number 7, and that's an easy number to remember anyway when it comes to fun. 8 would stand for what I call insurance. I mentioned insurance earlier, and I was mistaken on that. I want to put all insurance under one leak. I want to put my auto insurance under this leak. I want to put my house insurance under that leak. I want to see it all at one time. I want to put health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, house insurance, liability insurance, everything. I want you to see how much money you spend on insurance. Some of you are just going to be stunned because it's all hidden over here in your payment. Well, our payment's $912.16. Well, how much is that in interest and principal? Well, it's $756. Well, what's the interest? What's the insurance on that? Well, it's $196.12. You know, is there a way to get that insurance cheaper? Does it have to be paid with my mortgage payment? Do I have to pay the insurance with my car payment? Do I do it separately? Do I have to have my health insurance taken out of my paycheck every single month? You know, I want to see it. How much am I really paying for this stuff? Because I can guarantee you that all of you in the room are paying 20, 30, 50% or more than what you really have to, is because most of it's all hidden out there. In other words, I'm saying that some of you in the room are throwing away $100 to $200 a month. You're literally ripping those little dollar bills up in tiny little piles every single month because you just haven't looked at it. And that $100 to $200 a month, that's multi-million-dollar money that you're destroying every month because you're not looking at it. Okay. Number 9 is what I call miscellaneous, or I'm going to put the first word, debt / miscellaneous. In other words, I'm going to put my debt payments over there in leak number 9, and I'm going to pay my debt first, or there is no miscellaneous. And if I got my debts taken care of, then I'm going to have some miscellaneous. And leak number 10 is what I call business. And if you're not in some form of business, you got to be. And the reason I'm going to put it over here is because it relates to almost every of the other leaks as we do it. Okay, let's spend some money. We go to the store, we buy a pen. How do we categorize it? Where is it? Is it charity? Is it savings? No. Is it tax? Is it shelter? No. Is it household? Maybe. Is it auto? No. Is it fun? No. Is it insurance? No. It could be miscellaneous. Or is it business? Okay, so it could be one of 3 things. Household, miscellaneous, or business. Which do you want it to be? Business. Why? Well, how many of you don't own a business right now? Let me see, raise hands on that. And how many of you do own a business? Okay. Therefore, you can write things like this off, right? What is the benefit of being able to write off something on your taxes? Okay. We said earlier, didn't I tell you earlier what is a great rate of return? What was a real super rate of return on your money? 20% on my money. If I could get 20%, like I'm going to do backflips, right? But that's really hard to get, isn't it? When I write something off, what's the rate of return on my money? Think about that. What's your tax bracket? Say it's a 30% tax bracket, that means when I buy this pen, the government lets me make it an expense, and therefore I get to take it off my income. I have $1 worth of income, but I have $1 worth of expense. Therefore, I had 0 income. Well, if I was in a 30% tax bracket, then what happened to my investment? I invested $1 in a pen, but I got 30 cents back, didn't I? So I made 30% on my money. I mean, the government will give you an instant 30% on your money every time you write something off. That's pretty hot, isn't it? When you think about it that way, if I were to put money into a mutual fund and if I were to get 16.5% on it, I would be doing backflips. You know, if I have a business and can write off this pen, I get 30% just like that. If I'm in a higher tax bracket like myself, I get 40% just like that. And if I add my state taxes, I get 50% just like that. That means every time I spend something for my business, I get that return on my money, which is pretty hot. So every one of you has got to have a business so you can write those things off, so you can get the high rates of return, basically. All right? That's all basic stuff. I know you all understand this. But the way I want you to think about it is to flow your money through these kinds of leaks, so that every time you spend money, you're spending it in a certain flow in exactly the same way. It doesn't matter if you're making $500 a month or $50,000 a month. It all flows through the same kinds of leaks. So you can examine it all the same way every single time. You want to look through the same formula every single time. So I'm going to give you a system here in a minute that'll allow you to do that fairly easily. I'm going to teach you what I call the millionaire minute. If I could teach you a technique that would take you a minute every time you spend money, and if you spent that minute every time you spent money, then it would make you a millionaire, how would you invest that minute every time you spend money? Okay. The millionaire minute is a process. Every time you spend money, you analyze it based on a certain system I'm going to teach you. Everybody take one. And as soon as you receive one, if you're sitting with your partner there, you're going to flip it open to this first sheet, which we call the cash flow system. And it looks similar to this, if you would please. Okay, does everybody have, at least two of you have one there together? All right, good. Now let's look up here, because I want to teach you a way to control your money by one little simple piece of paper that you carry with you. All of you and each of you will have this one little simple piece of paper, so I'd like you to fold it up for you. Take it in the middle and fold it in half. Okay, so it looks like that. It's all perforated and it's easy to use. A friend of mine named Jim Dyer created a little system that he calls the pocket planner. And I created this particular piece to go in with it. This is unique, and it's a patented system, and it's a very powerful system for easily taking care of your money. You don't need to use the whole system. That's that little plastic pouch that's in there. All you really need to do is to carry this little piece of paper here with you. And every time you spend money, you're going to be using this from now on. It's kind of like a calorie counter in a sense. But in another sense, it's going to be a millionaire maker. Now, I'd like you to just fold it into thirds, kind of like in a little S, a little accordion, so that it looks like that. Tiny little piece of paper. It's amazing that you can just put something like this in your pocket or in your purse, or you can put it in any other kind of planner that you're carrying in one of the little side pouches. The only requirement, the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is to use this every time you spend money. Now, you don't need to do it every time for the rest of your life, but I'm going to challenge you to fill up this thing for the next 30 days. And every time you find yourself getting out of control in your money, that you go take another one of these things out of the planner that I just handed out to you, and you use it again. Every time you're out of control. And I highly recommend that you use it every single time you spend money, even if you're using Quicken or some other kind of financial program to control your finances, because you still have to get back home to input all that data, right? This one little thing is going to take you about an extra minute to do before you take off in your car to go to something else. So I come up and I spend some money. Remember, we just bought, what did we just buy?
Pen.
You got a pen, right? So let's see, how did we pay for that? Well, there are three ways to pay for it: either cash, credit, or check. So how did you pay for that pen? Let's say we paid cash. So let's look over onto our cash register, which is the far left-hand side, and how much money did you have in your pocket before you started? Well, I'd like you right now to go into your pocket or purse and to dig out and find out how much money you're carrying on you right now, and to write the number right up here in the very top corner. Now, some of you ladies, when it gets into those purses, there's going to be money you're going to uncover in there that hasn't surfaced since 1974. Okay? I want to have every single penny you're carrying on you right now put up there in that tiny little corner to the penny. Yes, Larry?
Can I have a multi-currency option, please?
Yeah, the multi-currency option. Let's just add up the Canadian and American dollars and presume they're the same thing. So that, yeah, that'd be nice. And just put the dollars up there, or choose whichever one you want to control, want to carry with you. I like that every cent you got on you is going to be placed right up here where it says begin balance, right at the very top left-hand part of that sheet. Was that again, ma'am? Traveler's checks is just like cash. Cash, dollar bills, pennies, quarters, everything you got on you, I want you to have controlled through this system here. Don't have any money on you, Liza? Okay, get it on there. Good. Count it all up. That's right, every penny, Evelyn, all those little pennies you've been carrying around. I want every penny to be controlled. You know, you ask this question, well, do I have to control it to the penny, Bob?
Do I have to control it to the penny?
Let's ask that question. I want everybody to ask that question. Do I have to control it to the penny, Bob?
Yes.
To the penny. To the penny. Why? Because if a dollar can grow into $1 million, what does a penny grow into? 1,000,000 pennies. How much is 1,000,000 pennies? 10,000 bucks. All right, so you're walking along the street. How many of you have ever walked and stepped over a penny and just said to yourself, that's just a penny, no big deal? How many of you ever walked by a penny and not picked it up? Basically, what you just walked by was how much money? $10,000, because underneath that penny is a whole bunch of pennies down there that you've got to pick up at the same time and put those into your bag as you take on with you. If you don't pick up your pennies, what you're trying to basically saying is, I don't value money. If I take that one little penny and I invest that, 65 years later, it's $1 million. Or 1,000,000 pennies, I guess I should say. If I got 100 pennies, that's $1 million. So I want you to control every penny. And I know that's so tough. And when I first heard this, I said to the guy who was teaching me, his name is Saul, and I said, Saul, you got to be kidding. He said, no, Bob, we're going to do it to the penny. And I said, I'm not going to do it to the penny. I mean, can't we do it just to the nearest $100? So give or take $100. What's the difference? He said, no, we're going to control it to the penny. Because then we're showing ourselves we really value every penny. Okay, so you got all your pennies? Is it all listed in there? Good. Now, we just bought ourselves a pen. So we list up here the amount of money we had. Let's say it was $93. Now we have, I want you to fill in the exact transaction. And the transaction, let's see, we have the date. So what was the date? Write the date in right there. You can do it 9/11 or however you want to do it. Let's see, was it I'm sorry, the cash register. Did I do it wrong? I did. Yeah, check is in the middle, isn't it? Cash is in the middle. I'm sorry. $93 goes over there. We're doing a cash record. So the date. Who do we give the dollar to? Staples, Office Depot, whatever place. We went to a place and we bought it, gave them cash. And so we put our beginning cash at $93. The amount was $1. So we write $1 in there. And the balance below the $1 shows us how much cash we have left in our pocket. $92. Let's see the category. What was the category? Well, it depends on whether you're in business or not. If you're not in business, you can't write it off, which means you just wiped out a tax deduction. But if it is, you're going to put the number. What leak number are you going to put in there? 10. Now, I've actually multiplied this out by 10, so you can have 10 times more deductions. I call it 100. I've taught you the 10 leaks, but I've actually added a 0 to every one of those leaks and made it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So you can subcategorize if you want to, or if you want to keep it simple, just leave it 1 through 10. If you're going to keep it simple, then it'd be a 10 category in there, 10. And why? Why? Business expense and my balance. Okay, good. How long did that take me to do? Yeah, you get outside the line and you just, wait a second here. People are bugging you. I'm doing my millionaire minute. Do you want to be poor or do you want to be wealthy? I'm doing my millionaire minute right here. Just don't bug me. So you can finish. That took a little bit. We're not done yet though, are we? Because we've got another side to this. So flip over the other side and see what you see there. On the other side, we see there are 10 leaks. And so where do we put this? Which leak do we put it on? It's under the business, which is the far right-hand side over here. So fill it out. And we should Write in there the date. So we're going to write the date, 9/11. And let's see, was it a chick or a dues or a cur? Was it a check or a dollar sign or a credit card? So dollar sign, so we'll just write the dollar sign in there. And then we're going to write in what? Pen. And we're going to write in how much it costs, $1. Now above the dollar, there's a little thing that says target. What does target mean? This is not a budget. This is a target. Some of you work on budgets. We find that budgets don't work. If they did, the government would be much better off than it does today. Budgets usually don't work. What I'd rather you to target towards is how much do you think it's going to be? I'd like you to make an estimate and just put that figure up there as a target amount. Make a guess. How much money am I spending on business expenses every month? And make a target. And then when you get to the end of the month, you'll have a whole bunch of expenses written in here. Okay? So that's what I did. That was not hard. I made 2 entries here. I made an entry to balance my cash account, and then I made an entry over here to give me a list of my business expenses. That's going to take you about a minute. Most people don't spend that minute. They just run off into the future, assuming that it's all going to get taken care of by the accountant. Now, what else do I need to do during that minute? There are a couple other things I want to do. I want to get a receipt. So when I get my receipt for a pen, it's $1. I get my receipt. What number will I write on my receipt? I'm going to write the category. In this case, I'm going to write 10 is my tax category, or 100 based upon whether you're trying to have more delineations in your categories. I'm going to write the number 10 in there, and then I'm going to stick my receipt in my plastic pouch that comes with my planner. Let's fold up our thing again and take out your plastic pouch that's located in your planner there, and stick it in one of the parts of your any one of them, and fold it over. And there you've got your little system to carry with you. You can put that in your purse. You can put that in your pocket. You can put that into your other planner that you're carrying with you for time management, or I'm going to give you one to control your time too. So when I go to write my check or to pay my cash or to buy something, here I am doing my Millionaire Minute. First I'm going to go into the store and I'm going to shop for value. I'm going to look for the cheapest and get the most valuable thing I can get. I'm going to try to negotiate a discount, because if I can negotiate that discount 10 or 15% below, that means I'm making 20% on my money instantly by getting a discount. So I like that. When I bring the item up to the checkout stand, I'm going to ask for that receipt as it's being paid. I'm going to decide, is it going to be cash, credit card, or check? I get that receipt, and I immediately and instantly categorize it right there on the spot. I want you to know when the money is spent exactly what it was spent for. And you can remember the 10 leaks, can't you? Okay, what's the first leak? Charity. What's 2? Savings. What's 3? 1%. What's number 4? It's your shelter, it's your house. And then what do you got to have in the house? The household, which is food and stuff. And then 6 is auto, and 7 is got to have some fun. 8 is insurance. 9 is debt or miscellaneous, and 10 is business. You know, you can remember. It's not that really hard to remember. In fact, there's only going to be 3 or 4 of those you ever use anyway when you're writing checks. You're probably not going to write a check for insurance at the store. You're probably not going to write a check for savings at the store. You're probably just going to write 5s or 6s or 7s or 9s or 10s. And there's only a few of them you need to remember at all times. The key is I want you to write your number on that receipt every time you get it. So it's all done. Now, how many of you have ever taken all your receipts home and you dumped out all your purse or your wallet there, and all these receipts laying on there, and you got to go over and you got to read all the receipts again and try to remember if this is deductible or not? Okay, you're going to do it right on the spot. Circle the items that are deductible. If they're deductible, write your number on it, and then instantly just stick it right in here after you've balanced it, tracked it, put it on the back, and then you're done. It takes about a minute. And as soon as you get home, what are you going to do with those receipts? I have to file them, so where am I going to file them? That's what the system's all about. So inside the system, I've created some stickers for you. Here are the stickers. And there are 3 kinds of ways you're going to organize your life. I've created what I call the wealth files, and I'm going to give them right here to you right now. The wealth files are the green stickers. They're stickers that include things that are your credit reports, your vehicles. These are for your assets and liabilities. These are for the things you own and the things you owe. Your O owns things, all right? And so if you have a mutual fund stock certificate, or if you have a title to one of your cars, if you're not keeping in a safety deposit box, or if you have any other important business properties, these are all of the files you'll probably ever need when it comes to the assets, the things you own in your life, or the debts you have for the things you own. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to go down to your local stationery store and buy a box of 100 manila folders. And the manila folders will be center, right, and left tabbed. It's just when you buy a manila folder boxes, that's the way they usually are. And on each of those, I'd like you to take these stickers and stick them on to the left ones, the center ones, and the right ones. And it doesn't really matter which is left or which is right. There are about 100 stickers here. It's just a few of them, less than 100. And therefore, as soon as you've stuck them onto your manila folders, you have what I call your wealth files intact. You can buy a little box at any stationery store for 10 bucks that has a little handle on it. And you can place your manila folders right in there, and with just a few minutes, you are totally and completely organized when it comes to your wealth and all the things and places that you need to file things. For instance, what if you were to mistakenly and unfortunately pass away tomorrow morning? Would the files of your life be organized well enough for your loved ones to figure out what was going on? Would they be going? Most of us in this room would have chaos. I once taught a seminar, and I won't take you through this pain, but I once taught a seminar where we literally had an experience where we crashed an imaginary plane into the hotel and killed everybody in the room. And with the lights off, as if the lights were gone now, we had them now take a little trip to their home and watch, as they watch on the radio or the television, the news of the disaster, realizing that you were in the building. And now they watch the panic that goes on in that person's life as they now try to figure out what to do. How they have to call a funeral director. They have to go through the financial records. And they watched for almost an hour, lights off, and watched as they went through we went through the funeral, the pallbearers, who sings at the funeral, where is the plot, to what's the insurance, to the whole thing. And after an hour's experience, when they came back into the room, we turned the lights back on, there were a lot of changed people there. They realized that it's going to be a very interesting experience when you pass on to the next stage of your existence. And what this is about, what the wealth files are about, are organizing you. Just one Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, some evening, you can sit down and have your whole financial life organized in a very few minutes. And then you start to live your life based upon the way this is organized. For instance, under the blue records we see here, in case of emergency, this is who they should call. You should tell your loved ones, if anything ever happens to me, you go to this little box, you open up the box and you pull it to this file and you read it. And it'll tell you exactly what to do. There should be your last will and testaments in here, your burial plans. It's kind of morbid, but it's going to happen. Maybe it won't happen to you. We'll have figured out the cure to mortality by the time you get to your time in life, right? So here we go. It's all right. Even important photos and keys, you have a simple place to go. When it gets to my red files, well, in here, I have my leaks all organized. See that? There's faucets and leaks. Faucet number 1, faucet number 2, faucet number 3, and you want to have at least 3 primary faucets flowing from different sources. We call that multiple streams of income. And then we have the expense leaks, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 to 100 there, plus the tax years for the last 5 years in your life. There's a place for you to file your taxes. Now, what you do is when you get home, you take out your little pouch here, and in your pouch will be the receipts for what the money you spent that day. How much money will you be spending every day? How many times will you go into your wallet or purse and pull some kind of financial resource out of there, cash, credit, or check? How many times a day are you going to do that? Either 3, 4, 5 times. More than likely, you're going to do 3 to 5 times a day. It's really not that big a deal. We take this money thing and we make it too big. I'm trying to tell you, that's why Ted, you ripped up the dollar bill. I want you to take money down to its simplest common denominator and analyze it. I want you to take money and look under a microscope at it and see really what it takes. And then I want you to take and look at it with a telescope and see what that little microscopic amount grows to as it's telescoped out over decades of time. And you can see what it can really grow into. And so I'm going to take every transaction and focus on it. And if there's only 3 to 5 transactions a day, anybody can do that. So today at lunch, when we have lunch here in another hour or so, you're going to go to lunch somewhere, right? Or are you just not going to eat? Probably going to. So you're going to probably transfer some money out of your life to somebody else's life. That's going to be what I call a money transaction. So let's figure out, like right now, let's plan it out. Where are you going to go spend money? Some of you don't even have it figured out yet. Some of you brought your lunch. Some of you, brought a Nutri-Meal or a Gold Bar that you're going to eat for lunch or something like that. So how are you going to? Is it going to be cash? Is it going to be credit card? Is it going to be check? Okay. Which is better? Cash, credit card, or check? Which is the best way to spend money? No. What is it? Yeah, right?
I would say credit because we get lots of points on it. You don't have to carry any money.
Okay, credit card. If you pay your credit card every month, that's one of the best ways to spend your money. What's the worst way to spend money? Cash. Why? One of the reasons is we don't keep records of it. Why is another? You don't want to have to. You want to feel yourself not having access to it. If you walk around, I heard some of these guys say, "I always carry, 5 $100 bills there. Just make me feel prosperous." I want you to have almost nothing on you in terms of cash. I want you to have to go into your checking account. I want to make it hard for you to access your money. When you go to the ATM machine and get your cash, how much cash do you usually get? Do you usually max it out? Just get all $300 right up there on the spot and carry that around with us? And that's the last thing you want to do. Okay. So, this little thing you carry with you, every time you spend money, it's going to take you an extra minute. When I get home, I take out my receipts. And where do I put my receipts? It's already filed there for you. I've got a file place for it. I just take it out of here. It's already got the numbers written on it. I don't even have to think anymore. There's a 7. Good. And I put them towards the back of the file, so it'll be in chronological order. And I put it to the back. And pretty soon, in a minute a day, minute per transaction, I get home, I am totally organized. Most of you will have dozens of little expenses that you don't track that this will force you to track. At the end of the month, suppose there's $100 worth of stuff you wouldn't have written off. At the end of the year, that's $1,000 worth of stuff that you wouldn't have written off. That's $500, $300 back into your life that you would get back as a check from the government if you'll track it this way. And most of you have no way whatsoever of tracking those kinds of tiny transactions. When you get to the end of the year, you have your files all filled up. 1 through 10 or 10 through 100, and all I need to do is to just go pull my files out, send them to my accountant. They're all there in chronological order. If I've inputted them into Quicken, which makes it even easier, then I've got my transactions easier there. But I don't have to check or run around looking for receipts all the time. It's there instantly. Instead of me spending 5, 10, 15 hours and weeks worrying about it, at the end of the year I just pull out my files and send them off to my accountant and it's done. That's if you'll do it in a minute at a time. But if you don't, when you get to the end of the year, you've got this mountain of receipts to go through to figure out which ones are good, which ones are bad, which ones are this, which ones are that. And that extra time is time wasted, and time wasted is money wasted, as we'll get here in just a minute. So there we have a system that I can use. And system stands for SYSTEM. Stands for the word save yourself. Time, energy, and money. That's what systems do. All right, so I have here my money system. Whenever I go spend money, I pull this out. It's really simple. I'm not suggesting you have to do this for the rest of your life. But I'm suggesting that you challenge yourself to do this for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, here's what it'll look like. You'll have spent cash here. You may even had to pull out 2 of these forms. Be able to have all of your transactions on one sheet. Then you're going to have your transactions for your credit cards and transactions for your checks. It'll all be in one place. You'll be able to tell at one instant glance how much debt you have on your credit card, how much cash you have in your pocket or purse, and how much cash you have in your checking account. And you'll be able to make much wiser decisions. You'll be able to look at your thing here and say, gosh, my credit card balance is up to, $1,500 here. And I have to pay this off by the end of the month. And I don't have that much money in my checking account. Where am I going to get that money from? If I don't get that money from there, I'm going to have to go into debt. Do I want to go in debt this month? You see, at the end of the year, at the end of the month, you look on the back side and you'll have all of your income flows will be here, and all of the leaks will be filled out. The whole month will be filled out. And I'll take this summary, the bottoms of each one of these leaks, and add them up at the bottom. Look at the bottom right-hand corner and see what it says. My total income, that means all of my money from all of my faucets, I add up, and it tells me what my total monthly income is for that month. Right below that would be my total expense summary. I add up all my 10 leaks, and I put my total right down there, and you're going to have a surplus or a deficit. Now, if you have a surplus, will that be good? That's good. You mean we've already taken out our savings, so that means a surplus in addition to savings. That's good. If I have a deficit, what had to happen for me to go into deficit? I had to borrow money to go into deficit, or I had to pull money out of savings. Therefore, I'm eating up my seed corn, as they say. So I either went into debt, or I wiped out savings, or what's the other choice if I have a deficit? I stole it. In other words, if every family in America would do that at the end of the 31st day of the month, on the days there are 31 days, if they would really look at it and say, you know what, this month we went into $400. We either wiped out $400 with our savings, or we went into debt, $400. But most couples don't do that. You know why they don't? Because they never track it. Because they just use their credit cards. One couple's got a credit card. They just use the credit cards as if there's no tomorrow, and then they never analyze it at the end of the month. And they wake up about a year later, and they realize their credit cards are all maxed. They got $18,000 worth of debt, and they don't know how it happened. If you do this every single month, you know how it happens. It happens $500 at a time. At the end of the year, you're $6,000 in debt. If you were to look at it and say, wait, stop it here. We went the whole $500 this month. Where did it come from? And you got it right in front of you. You can analyze it. Let's see, was it entertainment? Was it household? Was it business? Was it tax? Where was it? And you can see it right there in front of your face. And all the transactions are there. So I want you to do this one full month. And if you miss a day, I want you to start from scratch and give me 30 straight days. And once you give me 30 complete days, and I'll promise you, it will change your life when it comes to finances. It will absolutely change your life. Because you'll think about money in a whole different way. That's what I want you to do. Think about it.